Here's a great detailed summary of the FRBM Review Committee explained in very simple and clear language so anyone can understand, even with zero background. FRBM Review Committee detailed summary, simplified. 1. Why was the committee formed? The Indian government wanted FRBM Act, Responsibility and Budget Management was still working well. A 5-member expert group led by N.K. Singh was created in 2016 to study the law and suggest updates. The committee gave its report in January 2017. Hammer 2. Main recommendation, debt should be the anchor. The committee said the main goal of India's financial policy should be to keep debt at a safe level. This means don't borrow too much. Borrow only what the country can handle and repay safely. Just like how families try not to take too many loans, the government must also act responsibly. 3. Set a target. Total debt equals 60% of India's income, GDP. The committee recommended that by the year 2023, the total debt of India, centre states, should not be more than 60% of GDP. Out of that 60%, 40% should be from the central government. 20% should be from all the state governments together. This makes sure India doesn't fall into a debt trap, too many loans to repay. 4. Control fiscal deficit. Keep it at 3%. Fiscal deficit means when the government spends more than it earns. The committee said for the next 3 years the fiscal should be limited to 3% of GDP. This keeps the government spending under control, so it doesn't keep borrowing and create more debt. 5. Escape clause. Some flexibility allowed, 0.5% extra. So the committee allowed the government to break the 3% rule slightly, but only in special cases. The rule can be relaxed up to 0.5% more, which means a maximum fiscal deficit of 3.5% of GDP. These escape clauses are safety nets, used only when something unusual or serious happens. 6. When can escape clauses be used? The committee gave examples of when the government can spend more than the 3% limit. 1. Natural disasters like earthquakes, floods or pandemics. 2. War or national emergency when the country needs urgent funds. 3. Big structural reforms when the government changes how things work in the economy and that change costs more money than expected. For example, if the government brings in a new tax system or banking reform, it may cause a temporary money shortfall. So in that case, the government can use the escape clause and borrow more for a short time. Final words, what the committee really meant. Think of India's economy like a household. The committee said keep borrowing low, spend wisely, be ready for emergencies, allow breaks if necessary. This ensures long-term financial health for the country, just like how being careful with money keeps a family strong and secure. Would you like a quick one-page revision sheet, flashcards, or a simple story version of all this? Let me know. Here is a great, detailed and very simple summary of the passage you shared, written in the clearest and easiest language for perfect understanding. Detailed summary in the simplest language. India's spending problem, 90s spending problem to 2001. Between the years 1975 and 2001, the Indian government, both central and state, was spending a lot more money than it was earning. The fiscal deficit, extra money the government had to borrow, was more than 10% of the country's total income, GDP. This is like a family earning 100 but spending 110 every year and taking loans to fill the gap. 2. The big reason, revenue deficit. Most of this extra spending wasn't even for building roads, schools or big projects. It was just for day-to-day expenses like paying salaries, pensions and electricity bills. Now, this is called a revenue deficit, when regular earnings are not even enough to pay regular bills. 3. Warnings from experts. Many important organisations warned India about this problem. RBI, India's central bank, Planning Commission, now replaced by Niti Aayog, IMF, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, they all said this much borrowing is dangerous and cannot continue forever. 4. IMF steps in, reforms begin. In 1991, India had a major financial crisis. Help. The IMF agreed, but only if India promised to fix its finances. India started the process of fiscal reforms, changing the way the government earned. 5. Fiscal reforms equals hard but necessary. These changes were painful, both politically, leaders didn't like cutting spending, and socially, some benefits were reduced. But they were needed to stop the country from falling into a debt trap. 6. Centre and states took action. The central government, Delhi, took several important steps to fix. At the same time, state governments were also encouraged to do the same. The goal was fiscal consolidation, which means reducing borrowing and living within means. In very short summary, just key points. From 1975 to 2000, India's governments spent much more than they earned. Most of the overspending was on regular bills, not on development. Experts warned this was risky and unsustainable. IMF pushed India to fix its finances. India started fiscal reforms in the 1990s. Reforms were tough but necessary. Both centre and states worked on improving their budgets. Let me know if you want timeline of events, flat, or a memory trick to remember this forever. Of course, let's now go even deeper into each point and explain everything step by step, like you are a curious young student with no knowledge of this topic. I'll use super simple language, real-life examples, and explain why each step was taken by the government. Topic: what the government did to reduce revenue deficit. First, what is revenue deficit? Let's say you earn 10 every day. This is your revenue. You spend 15 on food and bills. This is your revenue expenditure. That means you are spending 5 more than you earn. That extra 5 far is your revenue deficit. For the government, it's the same. If the government spends more on salaries, pensions, subsidies, etc., than it earns from taxes and other sources, it's called revenue deficit. Now let's break down how the government tried to solve this problem. 1. Cut down government spending. The first and biggest idea was, let's spend less money. But how? Let's see point by point. A. Cut the cost of salaries, pensions and PF, Provident Fund. What's happening? The government has millions of employees. It pays them salary every month, pension after retirement, interest on PF savings. This was too costly. So the government said, what steps did they take? 1. Don't hire too many people. If 3 people retire, only 1 person will be hired. This saves salary and future pension money. 2. Cut PF interest. Government used to give more interest on PF. Now it gives less interest, so it saves money. 3. Pension reform, PFRDA. Earlier, the government paid full pensions. Now, under PFRDA, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, employees save their own money for pension. So, government spends less on old age pensions. Example, imagine a school. If the school hires fewer teachers and gives smaller bonuses, it saves money. B. Reduce subsidies. What's a subsidy? It's when the government pays part of the cost to make something cheaper for people. Examples, petrol, diesel, cooking gas, fertilizer for farmers, sugar, medicines. Why reduce subsidies? Because they are very expensive. The government said, let's increase the prices slowly, let people pay more if they can afford, help the poor and needy. Rationalizing prices, making prices more real and less controlled by the government. Example, if petrol is 100 and the government pays 30, you pay only 70. But if the government can't afford this, they let the price be 90. You pay more and the government pays less. C. Reduce loan interest burden. What's happening? The government borrowed a lot of money in the past. Now it has to pay interest every year, just like you pay EMI on a loan. This interest was very high. What did the government do? 1. Borrow less money. 2. Pay back foreign loans early. 3. Change expensive loans with cheaper ones called debt swaps. 4. Avoid borrowing from foreign countries with high interest. 5. Lend money to other countries and earn interest. Example, you have a credit card with 20% interest. You take a bank loan at 8% and pay off the credit card. Now you save money on interest. Now, D. Reduce defense spending. What's happening? India spends a lot on army, weapons, tanks, planes, etc. Why? Because of border tensions with Pakistan and China. What did the government try to do? Start peace talks with these countries. If there is peace, we can reduce army size on borders, spend less money on weapons. This saves a big amount of money. Stop giving money to loss-making PSUs. What are PSUs? Public sector undertakings equals government companies like Air India, before, BSNL, etc. Some companies lose a lot of money every year. Earlier, government kept giving them money to survive. Now government said, no more easy money. These companies must earn profit, or be closed sold, or get help only in special cases. Reforms in government departments. What's happening? Government offices spend a lot of money on things like travel, paperwork, electricity, maintenance. They said, let's stop wasting money, let's spend smarter, let's use computers, online systems, cut travel costs, etc. Make railways, power, water services earn money. Earlier, railways gave cheap tickets to everyone. Electricity and water were also very cheap, even for rich people. Now, government said, let's give discounts only to the poor. Others should pay full price. This helps railways and others earn money and not lose it. Example, a train ticket for a rich person should be 200, not 50. Only a poor person should get it for 50.
8.
Reduce post office losses. Post offices were losing money because fewer people write letters now. Government said, let post offices do other work too, like selling insurance, doing banking, giving loans. This way, they can earn money instead of just spending it.
8.
Higher education equals not a priority. What's happening? Colleges, like engineering or medical, were getting a lot of money from government. Government said, let's not spend too much on this. Let people pay higher fees, especially colleges. This saves money for the government, and they can basic education like poor kids. Final simple summary. The government said we are spending more than we earn. Let's spend carefully and earn smartly. So it 1. Hired fewer people. 2. Gave fewer subsidies. 3. Took fewer loans. 4. Tried for peace to reduce army spending. 5. Stopped helping loss-making companies. 6. Fixed waste in offices. 7. Made trains and services earn more. 8. Let post offices earn money through banking. 9. Ask students in professional colleges to pay more. Let me know if you'd like a simple chart or table, a comic-style story version, a quiz or flashcards to help remember. Happy to help more. Sure, here's a great detailed summary of the entire explanation we just did. It's clear, step by step, and simple enough for anyone to understand, even without any background knowledge. Detailed summary, how the government increases its income and borrows money. Part 1, how the government increases its revenue, income. The government needs money to run the country, build roads, schools, hospitals, etc., pay salaries, help poor people, pay back old loans. To increase its income, called revenue receipts, the government uses 4 main methods. 1. Tax reforms, making tax system better. To collect more money and make taxes simpler, the government reformed its tax system. CENVAT, Central Value Added Tax, made tax simple for products made in factories. Removed the problem of tax on tax. VAT, Value Added Tax, used by state governments. Taxed only the value added at each stage, not the whole price. Service tax, brought in to collect tax from services like salons, hotels, restaurants, etc. GST, Goods and Services Tax, combined all other taxes into one. Easy, transparent, and the same across all of India. Helped both the government and businesses. 2. Disinvestment and privatization of PSUs. PSUs, public sector undertakings, are companies owned by the government like BSNL, Air India. Disinvestment means government sells a part of its ownership. Privatization means government sells most or all of the company to private people or businesses. This gives the government money and makes the company work better with private help. 3. Using surplus forex reserves. Forex reserves are foreign currencies like US dollars, saved by India from exports, foreign investments, etc. If India has extra forex reserves, It lends money to other countries, buys safe bonds from rich countries like the USA. This helps India earn interest and grow its money safely. Amendment 4, allowing state governments to borrow from the market. Earlier, only the central government could borrow from banks, or the states can also borrow money for development projects like roads, schools. This gives states more freedom and money to work faster.
Part 2.
Government's borrowing program, how it borrows money. The government sometimes borrows money when income is not enough to meet all expenses. Here are 2 big changes that made borrowing better and safer. 1. WMA scheme, Ways and Means Advances, started in 1997. It is a short-term loan system between the government and the RBI. The government agrees to borrow only a fixed amount, be transparent about how it will spend. This brings discipline and political responsibility. People can now see how their tax money is used.
And that too.
RBI will not be the primary buyer of government bonds. Government bonds securities are like loan papers. People give money to the government and get it back later with interest. Earlier, RBI, India's central bank, used to buy most of these bonds. But this caused too much money to flow in the system, leading to inflation. So in 1997, the government decided RBI will not be the main buyer anymore. Let banks and investors buy these bonds. This helps control inflation, keep government borrowing in check, increase transparency and discipline. To earn more money, government fixed the tax system, GST, etc., sold parts of its companies, disinvestment, privatization, invested extra foreign money, forex reserves, let states borrow for development. To borrow more wisely, made rules with RBI through WMA to borrow responsibly, decided RBI won't be the main buyer of government bonds anymore. This made the government more disciplined, more transparent, more modern in how it earns and borrows money. Let me know if you'd like this as a PDF or printable notes, a one-page revision chart, flashcards or Q&A format for practice. I'm happy to help however you like. Absolutely. Let's break this down step by step, word by word, in the simplest language possible, just like you're a complete beginner. I'll explain like a friendly teacher, helping a young student understand for the first time. What is fiscal responsibility? Let's start with what this means. Fiscal, meaning that the government earns and spends. Responsibility means being careful and honest about using that money. So, fiscal responsibility means the government should be careful, honest, and wise in handling the country's money. Now let's look at how India made the government follow this in a strict and proper way. Now, 1, FRBM Act, a special law made in 2003. What is it? FRBM stands for Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management. It is a law passed in 2003. All political parties agreed to it. It told the government, you must act wisely with public money. What did the law say? It gave Rule A, fixed targets every year. The government must set goals targets every year to reduce fiscal deficit, less borrowing, reduce revenue deficit, spend only what it earns. Example, if a family earns 50,000 but spends 60,000, it borrows 10,000. The FRBM Act says, no, try to reduce that borrowing slowly every year. Do not borrow from RBI directly. RBI is like the government's bank. Earlier, the government could ask RBI to print more money whenever it needed. Stop that. You can only borrow from RBI in a special short-term method called WMA, Ways and Means Advances. Why? Printing too much money causes inflation. Prices go up fast. Be transparent. Show everything openly. No hiding! The government must tell the public and Parliament what money is coming in, where is it going, how much is borrowed, how it plans to manage all of this. It must present 3 important reports. 1, budget, as usual. 2, fiscal policy strategy statement, plan to manage money. 3, quarterly review, every 3 months, show the progress. Simple example, imagine your school saying every term, show your report card, your study plan and your monthly improvement. Same idea here. 2, what about state governments? India has 28 states. They also spend and borrow. The 12th Finance Commission said states should also follow the same rules. What did states have to do? Each state had to pass its own law, like FRBM. These were called FRA, Fiscal Responsibility Acts. After that, they could borrow money from the market without asking the central government, but only if they promised to reduce their borrowing, reduce their extra spending, show everything clearly, be transparent. By March 2016, all states and union territories had passed these laws. Now, every part of India's government is under fiscal discipline. Why is this important? Imagine a family that always spends more than takes loan, hides its bills, never saves money. Soon, that family will fall into a deep money problem. Same for a country. That's why FRBM and FRA are like money rules to keep the government disciplined, control debt, protect the economy. Summary in easiest words. In 2003, India passed a law, FRBM, to make the government more responsible with money. The law said, don't spend more than you earn, don't borrow too much, don't hide money details, share your money plans regularly. States were also told, follow the same rules, pass your own laws, then you can borrow for development. Now, both the central and state governments are bound by money discipline. Let me know if you want a chart or diagram of this, flashcards for easy memory, short Q&A for revision. I'm happy to make it even clearer for you. All right, let's learn zero-based budgeting, BB, like a young child who is hearing this for the very first time. I will break it down step by step, line by line, word by word, with very simple examples, like the world's best teacher teaching you. Let's begin. What is budgeting? Let's start with the basic word, budgeting. Budgeting means planning how to spend money. It's like when your parents decide how much money to use for food, school, clothes, games, etc. Example, you get Rs 100 for the month. You plan Rs 40 for food, Rs 30 for school books, Rs 20 for games, Rs 10 for savings. This is called a budget. What is zero-based budgeting? ZBB. Now let's understand zero-based budgeting, ZBB, in the simplest words. Zero-based means you start from zero. Imagine you have no plan from last month. You forget old spending and make a new plan from zero. Budgeting means planning how to spend money. So zero-based budgeting means planning how to spend money from zero, fresh, every time. You don't assume you will spend the same as last time. You ask yourself every time, do I need this? How much should I spend? Where should I spend? Where did the idea come from? Let's look at the history, but in a simple way. In the 1960s, a long time ago, businesses in the USA were trying to work better. They had many management ideas, like management by objectives, setting clear goals, matrix management, working across teams, portfolio management, handling many things at once. One idea was zero-based budgeting. A smart man named Peter Furr thought, why not use Z for government spending too? Later, Jimmy Carter, a governor in the USA, said, let's try this in the government. In 1979, when Jimmy Carter became the president of the USA, he used ZBB to make the country's budget. That was the first time any country used ZBB. How does ZBB work? Now, let's go deeper in a simple story form. Imagine this. You run a toy shop. Last year, you spent 1,000 on toy cars, Rs 800 on dolls, Rs 500 on stickers. This year, instead of just spending the same again, ZBBB tells you to ask, 1, should I spend on toy cars again? 2, how much should I spend this time? 3, is there something better to spend on than dolls or stickers? This way, you don't just repeat old spending. You check every part of your shop's needs from zero. You only spend if it's really needed. The 3 big questions in ZBB. Now, remember these 3 important questions ZBB always asks. 1, should we spend? Do we really need this thing? 2, how much should we spend? Can we spend less or more? What is the right amount? Where should we spend? Is this the best place to use the money? Real life simple example. Let's say your parents give you Rs 500 every month. Last month you spent Rs 200 on snacks, Rs 200 on video games, Rs 100 on notebooks. With ZBB, this month you don't just do the same. You ask, do I really need snacks this month? Should I spend Rs 200 again, or maybe just Rs 100? Maybe I need to buy a school bag instead of video games. So you start fresh and make a new plan based on today's needs. Why is ZBB special? It saves money. It avoids waste. It makes sure every rupee is useful. It helps people and governments make smarter decisions. Word meaning. Budgeting, planning how to spend money. Zero base, starting from zero, no old plans. ZBB, making a fresh spending plan every time. Who made it famous? Peter and Jimmy Carter. When first used in government, 1979 in USA, 3 questions to ask. 1, should we spend? 2, how much? Where? Let me know if you want me to turn this into a short note, quiz, or cartoon explanation too. Of course, let's now understand the 3 special features of zero-based budgeting, ZBB, in the most simple and clear way, just like teaching a kid with no background. I will explain line by line, word by word, with real-life examples, like the world's best teacher. Ready? Let's begin. What are features? Features are special qualities or things that make something different or unique. So here we are learning. What makes ZBB different from old-style, traditional budgeting? Special feature 1, no blind total spending. Every activity must be justified. Let's break the first point. The conventional aggregate approach is not applied in it. What does that mean? Conventional means old or traditional. Aggregate means total or combined together. So in old-style budgeting, each department, like health, education, police, just says, give us money for all our work. No need to look at every small thing. They give a total amount for many activities together. Problem? It's hard to know which activity is important and which one is just wasting money. What does ZBB do differently? ZBB says, no, don't give total money blindly. Instead, every department must show clearly what they do, prove why each thing they do is useful, explain how much it costs and what benefit it gives. This is called cost-benefit analysis. Simple example. Imagine you're asking your parents for 500. Old way. Mom, give me 500 for everything. ZBB way. Mom, I need 200 for books because they help me study. Rice 100 for snacks to keep me energized. 200 for games because it helps me relax. Now your mom can check each reason and decide where the money really needs to go. This is like X-raying your request, checking everything clearly and deeply. Special feature 2, saves money without reducing public benefits. Next point. Economy in public expenditure is the raison d'etre. Let's break that down. Economy in public expenditure means spending less government money in a smart way. Raison d'etre is a French phrase that means the main reason or purpose of something. So the main goal of ZBB is to cut extra spending, but still give the same level of public services. Simple example. Imagine your school spends Rs 1,000 on a school trip. ZBB says, let's check if we can do the same fun trip for only 700. Maybe use a cheaper bus, pack snacks instead of buying, skip the expensive entry ticket. Now you save time, raise 300, but still had the same fun. That's what ZBB does. Cuts waste, not benefits. Special feature 3, sets priorities. Most important things first. Now the last point, prioritizing the competing needs is another special feature. What does this mean? Prioritizing means deciding what is most important, then what is second, third, and so on. Competing needs means many people or departments want money, but there's not enough for everyone. So ZBB makes a priority list. 1, very important things get money first. 2, less important things wait. 3, some things may get no money at all if funds run out. Simple example. You have as 100. You want Rs 50 for books, very important. 30 for snacks, okay, important. Rs 40 for toys, less important. but that adds up to raise 120. You only have reached 100. So what do? You set priorities. Give resize 50 to books, res 30 to snacks, res 20 left. Toys don't get any money this time. That's what ZBB does with government money too. Final recap. 3 special features of ZBB in easiest words, feature in simple words, real life example. 1. No blind total spending. Every activity must be explained and justified. You explain to your parents why you need money for each thing. 2. Save money, not services. Spending is checked carefully to remove waste, but still keep benefits. Trip costs less, but is still fun. 3. Set priorities. Most important things get money first, books and snacks first, toys maybe later. Let me know if you'd like this in picture chart flashcards format or a mini quiz for fun learning. Here is a greatly detailed summary of the limitations of zero-based budgeting, ZBB, in the simplest and clearest language possible, like telling a story step by step. Zero-based budgeting, a quick reminder. Before understanding the problems, let's remember what ZBB means. In ZBB, every department starts its budget from 0 each year. They must justify every rupee they want to spend. No program is given money automatically. That only useful and necessary activities get funds. Now let's understand the main problems or limitations of this system. 1. Some government expenses cannot be touched. What it means? There are certain payments the government must make every year. These expenses are not open to checking or reduction. In India, these are called charged expenditures. Examples include salary of the president, judges' salaries, interest the government has to pay on its loans. Why it's a problem? ZBB says start from 0, prove you need this money. But charged expenditures are untouchable. You can't cut or question them, so ZBB cannot work on all types of spending. 2. Some services cannot be measured in money. What it means? ZBB uses cost-benefit analysis. How much did we spend? What benefit did we get? But some government services are too important to measure in money. Examples: Defense Army protects the nation, police law and order, keeps peace and safety, foreign relations maintains international friendships. You can't say we spent Rs 500 crore on the army, what profit did we make? These things are about security, safety and diplomacy, not money. Why it's a problem? ZBB works best when you can calculate benefits. But for these services, you can't use maths or money to measure their value, so ZBB fails to judge them properly. 3. Scrutiny can be biased or short-sighted. What it means? In ZBB, someone must review and judge every government program. But this checking, called scrutiny, is often subjective. It depends on personal opinions. Also, scrutinizers may think only about short-term results, ignore long-term plans and national goals. Example: a program to plant trees may take 10 years to show results, but a person focused only on quick benefits may cancel it. Why it's a problem? Good programs might be stopped just because the reviewer doesn't like them. The benefits are not immediate, so ZBB can be unfair or too narrow-minded. 4. Finance Ministry may become too powerful. What it means? ZBB gives more control to the Finance Ministry. Every ministry has to ask Finance Ministry for funds. Finance Ministry gets to judge and approve or reject each request. Why it's a problem? This can create an imbalance. The Finance Ministry may become the boss of all departments. Other departments may feel we have no freedom, we can't take decisions on our own. This can slow down work, cause frustration, kill creativity and innovation.
5.
Bureaucrats may not support ZBB. Who are bureaucrats? They are government officers who plan policies, run departments, handle government work daily. What it means? ZBB judges every action of these officers very closely. It looks every rupee they spend, every project they run, the results. Many officers do not like this closely. They may get upset, stop supporting ZBB, try to ignore or avoid it. Why it's a problem? If officers don't support the system, it can't work well. ZBB depends on honest, active participation. Without support from the people running the system, ZBB will fail or become slow. Conclusion: ZBB is good, but not perfect. Even with these 5 big problems, experts say, ZBB has strong logic. It is a smart and useful method. It can help cut waste, use money better, and improve planning. AFT in India, introduced around 1999, not fully successful at national level, but some profit-making government companies, PSUs like BAL, SAIL, etc. have used ZBB well and improved performance. Limitation, simple explanation, real-world example, but start. 1. Fixed expenses can't be changed. Some payments must happen no matter what. Rent, SAP officials. 2. Some services can't be measured in money. Army, police and foreign policy can't be judged using profits. You can't calculate profit from being safe. Scrutiny can be biased. Review depends on opinions and may ignore long-term goals. Cancelling a tree planting plan because results are slow. Finance ministry gets too much power. One department controls all others, causing imbalance. A school principal deciding every small thing. 5. Bureaucrats don't support it. Officers feel too judged, so they don't like the system, like a student who hates being checked every day. Let me know if you want a mind map, flash vision, fun quiz or games. I'll make them just for you. Here is a greatly detailed summary of the passage, explained in the most easy to understand language, with all the important points covered clearly. Topic: Output Outcome Framework and Background. 1. Background: why this idea came. Since the 1960s, governments around the world started thinking more seriously about saving money and getting better results with public spending. The goal was to reduce waste, improve the quality of services like health, education, roads, etc. 2. First step: zero-based budgeting, ZBB. As part of this idea, a new budgeting system called zero-based budgeting was introduced. In ZBB, every department starts its budget from zero each year. They must explain and justify every rupee they ask for, instead of just asking for more money based on last year's budget. This helps the government spend money only on useful activities and cut wasteful ones. 3. India's experiments with ZBB. India also started using ZBB as part of its reforms. It wasn't fully successful everywhere, but some public sector units, PSUs, used it well to increase profits and reduce waste. 4. Next step: Output Outcome Framework. By the year 2019-20, the Indian government developed a new and improved system, the Output Outcome Framework. This was a better and more modern version of a previous attempt called Outcome and Performance Budgeting, which was started in 2005-06. What is the Output Outcome Framework, OF? Key terms: output, what the government does or produces. Example: number of schools built, number of vaccines given. Outcome, what result came from it. Example: more children getting educated, better health in the population. Purpose of OATH: the aim is to not just track, but to measure what impact it has on people's lives. It helps the government ask, did this work really help the people? Was it worth the money? OATH focuses on 1. Accountability. Every ministry or department must show results. 2. Transparency. People and the government can clearly see what was done. 3. Planning future projects based on what worked and what didn't. 4. Efficient use of funds. Money is used where it gives maximum benefit. Who is supporting it? The Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office, the MEOG, is the main support body behind OATH. Since 2017, DMEO has been helping ministries adopt OATH, monitoring how well government programs are working, making sure public money gives real results. Why is OATH important? Earlier, government budgets only focused on how much money was spent. Now with OATH, the focus is on what did we achieve by spending. This shift helps avoid wasteful spending, improve the quality of life for citizens, make better decisions in the future.
Final summary in one paragraph.
The Output Outcome Framework OOF is a smart system started by the Indian government in 2019 or 20 to improve the way it spends money. Instead of just counting how much money is spent, like before, OOF asks what was actually done, outputs, and how it helped people, outcomes. It is a modern improvement of older ideas like zero-based budgeting and outcome budgeting. The DMEO office at Niti Aayog has been working on this since 2017 to help ministries and departments track and improve their performance. OOF brings better planning, greater accountability, and real benefits for the people of India. Let me know if you'd like a visual chart or comparison between ZBB and OOF. Happy to make it even clearer. Absolutely. Let's go even deeper and explain this step by step in the most simple and clear way, like I'm teaching a young child who has no background knowledge. I'll use very easy words, examples, and go line by line. Let's make it crystal clear. What is this about? This is about a new way the Indian government checks how well its money is being used to help people. It's called the Output Outcome Framework, OF. Let's break it down. 1. What is the problem with the old way? Before, the government used to check how much money was spent, how many things were built or done. This is called checking physical and financial progress. Example, they built 100 toilets, they spent 10 crore rupees. But this doesn't tell us, did people actually use the toilets? Did their health improve? So the old way only counted what was done, not if it helped. 2. What is the new way? The Output Outcome Framework started in 2009 to 20. This new way says, don't just check how many things we did. Check what changed or improved in people's lives. Keywords. Output equal what was done. Example, 1,000 hand pumps were installed. Outcome, what good thing happened because of it. Example, 10,000 people got clean drinking water. 3. How does this system work? The government made a plan or system called a framework. This system has measurable indicators, which means simple numbers to check if goals are being met. Example of an indicator. Goal, improve school attendance. Indicator, % of children attending school every day. So now every government scheme project has clear goals and numbers to check success. 4. What schemes does it cover? It covers 2 big types of schemes. A. Central sector schemes. These are 100% paid by the central government. B. Centrally sponsored schemes. These are shared between central and state governments. Together, these 2 types of schemes use about 40% of India's budget. So it's important to track them carefully. What is the benefit of this new system? This new system helps in 2 big ways. A. Enhancing development impact. This means making sure the money brings real improvements in people's lives. Example, instead of just giving out textbooks, make sure students actually learn better. B. Improving accountability and transparency. Accountability equals people in charge must explain what they did. Transparency equals everything is clear and open, no hiding. So if a department says we built 500 hospitals, the system will ask, did people get better treatment? How many patients got help? 6. Why is this important? This system helps give money based on good performance, combines efforts of different departments so they work together, makes sure that money is not wasted, helps government focus on results, not just paperwork. 7. Who makes sure this works? The ministries like health, education, etc. The people who run the schemes, DME, Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office at Niti Aayog, supports this system. Everyone works together to monitor, track and improve the schemes. 8. What can this system do in the future? If it is used well, this system can change the way government works, improve how money is used, help more people in better ways, make sure good work is rewarded. Let's summarize simply. Imagine you give money to someone to make your room nice. Old way, they tell you they spent all the money and bought 10 things. New way, you check, is your room really nice now? Is it clean, organized, Useful, that's the difference. The Indian government is now using this better, smarter way to check if people's lives are actually improving, not just checking if money was spent. If you'd like a diagram, flowchart, or example story to remember this better, just say the word. Here's a great detailed summary of the golden rule of public finance, explained in the simplest words for full understanding. What is the golden rule of public finance? The golden rule says a government should only borrow money to make investments, capital expenditure, not to pay for daily running costs, revenue expenditure. Why is this rule important? It teaches smart money use by the government. Borrowing is okay when the money is used to create things that help the country grow. Borrowing is not okay for regular, everyday expenses that don't last. Two types of government spending. 1. Capital expenditure. Good to borrow for this. It means spending money to build or create something useful that lasts many years. Roads, schools, dams, bridges, power plants. These are like investments. They help people boost the economy and bring long-term returns. 2. Revenue expenditure. Should not borrow for this. This is money spent on daily needs. Examples: paying salaries, buying office supplies, giving subsidies, electricity bills. These expenses are short-term and don't give long-term benefits. Why follow the golden rule? 1. Smart borrowing, like borrowing for a house or business, not for food or movies. 2. Long-term benefits. Investment creates jobs, income, and growth. 3. Avoids wasteful borrowing. Stops the government from taking loan its own bills. 4. Helps control government debt and interest payments. 5. Protects private sector. Prevents government from over-controlling everything and stopping private companies from investing. When is the golden rule useful? Only when the government is honest about what counts as an investment. The projects are useful and efficient, not wasteful or fake. It doesn't push out or replace private sector investment. Simply, imagine you borrow money to buy a cycle to deliver newspapers, good borrowing. You borrow money to buy chips every day equals bad borrowing. Same rule for government. Borrow to build metro rail equals smart. Borrow to pay office T-bills equals not smart. Match key points to remember. Borrow only for creating assets, not running the system. Capital expenditure, yes. Revenue expenditure equals no. Rule works best when there's honesty, efficiency, and balance between government and private businesses. Let me know if you'd like a visual diagram or table version too. Sure, let me balance budget in the most simple step-by-step way, as if I'm teaching someone with zero knowledge. I'll explain every word, give examples, and make it super easy to understand. What is a budget? A budget is like a plan for how much money you will earn and how much money you will spend. Example, you get 100 pocket money. You plan to spend 100 on toys, books, and snacks. That is a budget, a plan to use your money. What is a balanced budget? Now imagine this. The government also makes a budget, just like you. Government earns money from taxes. People and companies pay money to the government. Fees and charges, like electricity bill, train tickets. Government spends money on roads, schools, hospitals, army, salaries, etc. Now, if government income equals government spending, that is called a balanced budget. In simple, a balanced budget is when the government's income and spending are equal, is left, and no money is left, and no money is missing. Easy example, let's say government earns 10,000 from taxes. Government spends 10,000 on public services. Income equals spending. This is a balanced budget. Other way to say it. If the government has zero revenue deficit, it means a balanced budget. Revenue deficit means more than income. So if there is no revenue deficit, it means the money coming in is just enough to pay for everything. Balanced budget is also called zero deficit budget, equal income spending budget, balanced budgeting. Why balanced budget is important? 1. No borrowing needed. Government doesn't need to take loans. 2. No extra debt. Country stays debt-free. 3. Good financial health. It shows the government is careful with money. 4. No inflation pressure. Spending is not too much, so prices stay stable. But not always easy. In real life, governments don't always have a balanced budget. Sometimes they spend more than they earn, deficit budget. They earn more than they spend, surplus budget. But balanced budget is the ideal situation, like perfect balance.
One-line summary.
A balanced budget is when the government earns and spends the same amount of money, not more, not less. Want me to compare balanced, deficit, and surplus budgets side by side in a simple table? Absolutely. Let me explain gender budgeting to you in the simplest, easiest, step-by-step way, just like teaching a young child with no prior knowledge. I'll go line by line, use very easy words, and give clear examples. Step 1. What is a budget? A budget is a plan made by the government about how much money it will spend, where it will spend it, like schools, roads, hospitals, how it will help the people. Step 2. What is gender? Gender means male, boys, men, and female, girls, women. Sometimes people are treated differently because of their gender. Example, boys may get more chances to study or work than girls. Girls may be expected to stay at home or do housework more. This is called gender inequality, unfair treatment between boys and girls. Step 3. What is gender budgeting? Now imagine the government makes a budget specially looking at the needs of women and girls. That is called gender budgeting. Gender budgeting means making a government budget that gives special attention, money, and plans to help women and girls. Why is gender budgeting needed? In some countries like India, women do more work at home but get less pay. Girls may not get equal education or healthcare. Women may have less job chances than men, so the government needs to fix this and make it fair. That's where gender budgeting helps. What does gender budgeting do? Gives money for girl education, more schools, scholarships, supports women's health, like free checkups for mothers, provides training and jobs for women, makes laws and safety programs for women's protection. When did it start in India? In 2006-07, the Indian government started gender budgeting in the union budget, kept 28,737 crore, a huge amount just for women's welfare, set up gender budgeting cells in 32 ministries and departments. These cells look at how each department can help women better, make plans and track spending for women's schemes. Easy example, if a ministry gets 100 crore to spend, it might say 70 crore for all people, 30 crore specially for women, like women's safety, jobs and health. This is gender budgeting in action. One-line definition. Gender budgeting means making the government's money plans in a way that specially helps women and girls so they get equal chances and support. Why is it good? 1. Helps fix gender inequality. 2. Supports women's rights. 3. Gives equal opportunity to women and girls. 4. Makes society more fair and balanced. Would you like me to make a small table or chart to show how gender budgeting compares with normal budgeting? Of course. Let's now go even deeper, step by step, and explain cut motion in the most detailed and simplest way possible, as if I'm teaching a child with zero background. Let's begin with the basics. What is a budget? A budget is the government's money plan for a year. It says 1. How much money the government will collect from taxes, etc. 2. Where it will spend that money, like schools, roads, hospitals, army, etc. Who checks this budget? The Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, checks and discusses the budget. MPs of Parliament ask, is this money being used properly? Is this much money really needed? Can we reduce this spending? What is a cut motion? A cut motion is when an MP says, let's reduce the amount of money the government wants to spend on something in the budget. Why would anyone want to cut the budget? Let's use an example. The government says, we want 500 crore to build a big office building. An MP might say, this is wasteful. We don't need this building right now. Let's reduce this money. That MP brings a cut motion. Who usually brings cut motions? Usually the opposition party. Opposition parties who are not ruling the government. Sometimes even sworn MPs from the ruling party might do it if they're not happy. Why is cut motion important in a democracy? 1, it gives MPs the power to stop wrong spending. 2, it makes the government explain why they need so much money. 3, it protects public money from being wasted. 4, it is a way to show the government is being watched. If a cut motion is passed, what happens? If the majority of MPs agree to the cut motion, the money is reduced or not allowed, it shows the government is losing support. It's treated like a warning or no confidence. Sometimes the government may even resign if this happens. Types of cut motions in super simple words. There are 3 types. 1, policy cut, meaning we don't like this idea at all. Example, the MP says, cut it down to 1. It's a way to say, we fully disagree. 2, economy cut, meaning we like the idea but not the amount. Example, the MP says 500 crore is too much, make it 250 crore. It's about reducing the money. Hap 3, token cut, meaning we want to talk about this issue. The MP says reduce it by 100 only, not serious money cut, just a way to start a discussion. How is India's system special? India follows a mix of 2 systems. 1, USA system. Congress must approve each budget item. If they say no, the money cannot be used. 2, UK system. Parliament usually passes the budget without change. It's just a formality. 3, India's system. We discuss and vote on each part of the budget. MPs can question, reduce or approve spending. That's why we have cut motions. Easy example. Let's pretend the government is like your school principal. The principal says, I want 10,000 to buy new furniture for my office. Some teachers, like MPs, say 10,000 is too much. Let's give only 5,000. That's a cut motion trying to reduce the money planned to be spent. Final summary. Learn it like a poem. Government makes a budget plan. MPs check it. Every rupee, every span. Don't like a part? Say cut it down. That's a cut motion. No need to frown. It checks the power, stops the waste, keeps democracy working with grace. Would you like me to make this into a chart, flashcards, or a comic-style explanation too? I can also quiz you to help you remember better. Alright, let's now explain token cut and economy cut in the simplest, clearest and most kid-friendly way, step by step, word by word, like a kind teacher who wants you to fully understand it without any confusion. First, the big picture. What is a cut motion? A cut motion is when a member of Parliament, P, says, hey, I think the government is planning to spend too much money here. Let's cut down the amount. It's a way for MPs to question or stop government spending if they feel it's too much, not needed, or something wrong is happening. Now let's talk about the 2 types you asked. 1, token cut motion. Let's break it word by word. What does it do? It cuts only 100 from the money asked by the government. Just 100. That's like nothing, right? Why just 100? Because the main goal is not to save money. The goal is to complain or point out a problem with what the government is doing. It's like saying, I don't care about 100, I just want to talk about what's wrong here. Simple example, token cut. Imagine your school says, we want 100,000 to build a fancy statue of the principal. One teacher, like an MP, says, I don't like this idea, but I won't argue about all the money. I just want to raise a concern. So the teacher says, let's cut 100. That 100 doesn't matter much. It's like waving a flag to say, we need to talk about this issue. This is called a token cut. 2, economy cut motion. Let's break it simply. What does it do? It says, let's cut a bigger amount from the budget. Why? Because the MP thinks too much money is being asked. It can be done with less money, or some items in the budget are not needed at all. So the goal here is to save money or stop wasteful spending. Simple example, economy cut. The government says, we want 50 crore to build new guest houses for ministers. An MP says, why so much? You can build it for 20 crore. So the MP says, cut 30 crore. That much is not needed. This is an economy cut to say, let's spend less and not waste money. Compare side by side, feature token cut, economy cut, kind of cut amount, only 100. Bigger amount, purpose to raise a complaint, to save money, reduce wastage. Example, use there's a problem here, this is too expensive. Real intention, start a discussion, actually reduce the money. Final summary. Token cut says, I have a problem, let's talk. Economy cut says, cut the cost, it's too much. Both are ways to question spending in India's parliament, always. If you want this as flashcards, a comic strip, or a memory quiz, I can do that too. Let me know how you learn best. I'm here to make it fun and clear.